By leaving his father's household, Abraham was giving up his inheritance. He was giving up the comfort of knowing that he was going to inherit his father's property and land and riches. He was forfeiting security. And as a result, he was putting his survival, his identity, and his future in the hands of the Lord, all to a God he really doesn't know. Then God promised to make him into a great nation and bless him, and Abraham obeyed God because God said to do it. And it's important to notice that in Genesis 12:1, that God doesn't tell him exactly where to go. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." It was unknown where God was sending him, yet Abraham obeyed anyway. Now, God did make him promises and gave him assurances, but the point is, Abraham listened and obeyed. Hebrews 11:8 says it this way: by faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. This brings me to my first observation of how to cultivate faith for the future. Listen often and obey immediately. Abraham didn't know all the details. All he knew initially was that God had said to do something. And so he did it because he trusted the creator of the universe, that the creator of the universe might know something a little more than he did. And throughout Genesis, we learn that over time, he makes this a habit of listening to God and obeying immediately. And God promised to bless him and make him a great nation. Then later on, as Abraham spent more time with God led him to Canaan, or modern-day Israel, and God promised that Abraham would someday possess the land of Canaan and have descendants as many as the stars. Now, this is significant because Sarah, his wife, we learned was barren, and Abraham was 75 years old. The Bible calls him an old man, and that she was past childbearing years. In fact, Genesis 11:30 says, "Now Sarai was childless because she was not able to conceive." This was a scourge of the day. In ancient times, having someone to carry on the family line and name was of utmost importance. Descendants represented the future. And it was considered very shameful for a man not to have a son or any descendant at all. So for God to promise that Abraham and Sarah would have as many descendants as the stars of the sky was a big deal. It was huge. And Abraham and Sarah trusted God because God said it. Hebrews 11:11 through 12 puts it this way: "And by faith, even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children because she considered him faithful who had made the promise." And so from this one man, Abraham, and he as good as dead, in biblical terms, he was very, very old, came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sand on the seashore. So Abraham and Sarah went because they trusted God even though it seemed impossible. They had faith for the future. But again, this promise didn't happen right away. It took 25 years for Abraham and Sarah to have a son, and Abraham was 100 years old when he had a son. It seemed impossible, but God did it anyway. And they never took the land of Canaan as their own. In the moment, it seemed like God wasn't working and that he wasn't going to fulfill his promise. But they remained faithful, and they listened often, and they obeyed immediately.